Hi, Internet world. This is Brittany Krause again here. I am doing my third blog post, internet video post for my tech toolkit. I'm kind of debating doing a different venue. I guess I didn't know that we were supposed to do one last week, so this one's running a little bit late. And I just feel really overwhelmed by the process of doing the videos. It takes so much time, it's so labor intensive. And I definitely wanted to get exposure to this sort of medium and kind of play around with some of the things that I could do with it. However, at this juncture, I am finding that the process is just really, really overwhelming and a lot more time consuming than I'm kind of able to commit with my current class load. So I am probably going to switch to something else, and this will be my last video that I post. This week I did the readings on the digital divide and kind of how to bridge that gap. A couple thoughts that I had when I was reading the digital divide. I was kind of surprised by their push for wired internet. I've always had wireless internet, and I feel like most businesses and establishments have wireless internet. So for me, it's really hard to even understand the difference between the two. And besides, the obvious price difference, but it's like I get along just fine with my wireless internet and going to coffee shops and utilizing those services as I need. So I kind of didn't get the big deal. I felt like they were making it a bigger issue than potentially it was. Financially, yeah, it's really expensive, and you have to be almost a middle class person in order to afford it, which is sad and potentially wrong, and has its whole other issues. I also never really thought about the digital divide affecting workers, and I think that primarily I've always thought of it as being a problem for high school students and college students especially, but I never really understood just how far-reaching this could be as a societal problem, and how a lot of people are unable to get online to search for jobs and to put out their resumes and kind of utilize services through that realm. And when I actually thought about it, I was like, well, I guess I've found all of my jobs on Craigslist. And I've use the internet to post my resume and find all kinds of work and school and everything else. So yeah, I guess it's really opened my mind to how far-reaching internet access can be for society. Another thing that I was thinking about when I was doing when I was reading the Getting Past the Digital Divide. I really like the quote about how these constraints can stunt a user's self-directed learning and play key elements in exploring anything as multifaceted and fascinating as the online universe. I found this quote super interesting because the internet really does provide self-directed learning for students. And that's kind of how things are nowadays in the workforce and elsewhere. And, if children are learning how to be self-directed learners on the internet, then it's just doing them a good service for the rest of their lives. And children without access to that realm are definitely going to be falling behind at some point. And that's why it's really important for kids to have access to schools and technology, multiple forms of it, and have it utilized in many different ways within the classroom so that they can learn how to conduct themselves online, how to utilize the tools, gain their typing skills, gain their, internet, interpersonal communication skills, and kind of tie it all together so they become well-rounded, educated individuals upon exiting school. There are a couple of other things that I've just been wrestling with and grappling with as far as education goes, and some of the situations about, our standardized testing and our kind of standardized form of education, and how to kind of break that up and get moving and get rolling. I recently my partner and I decided that we're probably going to move to Colorado at some point, and I got super excited, and I was researching schools, and I was like, let's just move to Colorado. And I found Colorado Springs College, which I didn't know existed, and I didn't even know this was a place or anything. But they're doing this whole different kind of educational system at their college where students learn, and I'm trying to remember how long the courses were, but it was like one course at a time, and it was like between 3 to 6 weeks, I want to say, for as frequently and as often as particular teacher decided to teach. And it was this kind of new concept about really in-depth learning of one subject at a time. And I found it extremely fascinating and super inspiring to be educating our workforce, college students, and educators in this totally revolutionary way, which maybe is more along the lines, less along the lines of like standard education and more along the lines of apprenticeship, but with credentials. And I found this to be really, really fascinating and super cool. So just a place that's kind of doing some interesting things, and I really hope to be able at some point to move out there and do some education courses within that program too, just to see what it's about. I also wanted to kind of document my experiences on a website called Quizlet.com, which is a website that I became familiar with last spring. And it's this really cool interface where essentially you sign up for it with a username and a password, and you're able to create these really, really cool interactive sort of quizzing games. And you do that by making flashcards. So super standard, like little flashcards that you would make for yourself. One word on one side, a different word on the back. They have different tools that you can use for doing things like translation of different languages or definition of different terms. They've got science and mathematics as a language, so that you're able to kind of narrow down what your definitions may be, and it'll help you to define the terms there within. So yeah, I found that was really cool. I realized just the other day that they had a teacher button, and I was kind of exploring and playing with that. And essentially you can share everything that you make, and you can do quizzes, and people can go in and edit if you want them to have that option. Otherwise, people can just go on there, find the course, and then, or you give them a link, and then they can go on and use that as a study tool. I thought that this would be really cool, especially looking into special education and kind of giving my students different ways to be able to utilize some online tools or to be able to get some help with their studying techniques, especially because you can create tests with the vocab words. It's kind of limited, because it's literally just based around the vocab. It's not going to be like mathematical concepts necessarily. It's not going to be other things like that, but they will do ABCD choices and give you different vocabulary choices of the words that you choose. You can organize them by class. I've got like 6 classes on there at this point. You can organize them by subject and by like, I've got each chapter has a certain thing. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but you should definitely go on, do the tutorial if you're interested and see what it's about. I definitely found it to be really, really interesting and potentially really helpful in special education to assist students in their study skills and assist them in maybe being able to do some self-directed learning and being able to study on their own without needing a teacher or anyone else to kind of assist them along the way while they're preparing for tests in alternative ways. So yeah, just a thought that I had and wanted to share about the readings this week. I will be posting another video by Sunday around the readings that we have this week as well. So thanks so much, guys. I hope to see you again. Take care. Bye.